Hi everyone, and welcome to Your Best You. I'm Reverend Dr. Kat. Good to see you again. Joan KACZMARCZYK, my co-host, was with me today too. So
hi everyone.
We're all blessed to have you here.
Thank you.
My cohort.
Partner in crime.
So I asked Joan before the show started taping if she remembered what was the last topic of the show.
And I'm trying to think. I know we were talking about directions.
Yes,
directions.
That was the whole show.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm trying to think of what the very last part of it was, and I can't recall.
Okay, so here we go.
All right, please refresh me.
Remember I said you have one side of a story. Someone's telling you this is a direction.
Yeah.
And then you have another person who's telling you a different kind of direction.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the middle.
Somewhere in the middle is the truth.
Is the truth.
Yes,
so when we're making our directions and our self-directions, we're being conscious of a balance in the middle.
Yes.
Okay, so it's not...
not too far to either side.
Well, I think a balanced in everything in life is something that I really do have to work at every day. And I think a boatsman knows balance because they have to have an even keel.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you lose everything.
Exactly. They're going to end up upside down.
Yeah.
That's not a good thing.
So balance is important, but I guess I was thinking, so how do we discern directions?
How do we discern it?
How do you discern the directions? You've got different directions. So how do we come to a decision of which direction to take?
I think
you could go north or you could go south.
Sure.
You could go east or you could go west.
Right. You can go up or you can go down.
You can go all different directions.
This is true.
You could spin yourself into a crazy place.
Yeah, you could.
Out of control directions because the mind isn't in balance and suddenly you're thinking out of control issues. And so finding your own self-direction, we talked about that. Remember, being your own director.
Right. Because we were talking about going, being basically the captain of your ship or the driver, and we were talking about, but you have to follow certain directions. You have to follow certain rules and whatnot. But again, it's a matter of finding your way and finding what's right for you.
So we that's a personal directional choice. But in this world that we live in, I was thinking about directions. And directions kind of started coming with the concept of time, right? We started looking at when the sun came up and where the sun rose and where the sun set and things like that. So I was fascinated with that in my mind. And I thought, well, I'm going to think about when did all that kind of begin? So I did some research. Okay, now I'm taking us back in time.
Way back?
Way back in time.
Way back.
To the Sumerians.
Oh, that is way back.
Okay.
That is way back.
And these were people who lived 5,000 BC. And there was a lot of interesting things about the Sumerians and time. Because time, as we've said with Einstein, is relative to where you are in the universe, right?
Yep.
And how is time calculated? Okay, get ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
So I love the mudras and everything to do with the hands.
Yep.
And I talk about the touch points and how the hands have the maps of our inner ley lines, and even the feet have that. We're all connected in that way.
Yep.
So the Sumerians, this is how they did time.
This should be good.
You've got two hands.
Yep.
Remember, we're going 5,000 BC time.
Okay.
Well, I think it was about 3,500 when they came up with it. I don't have the exact figures. Okay, it's not fact check Dr. Kat time. This is, I'm giving you ideas to be inspired and to develop your own theories and, awaken. So, okay, so like here's the thing. The two hands, right? Now you notice, go ahead and take a look at your fingers because I'm going to have you, because I always have you do little exercises for the camera. If you look at your hands, you'll notice you've got the 4 fingers and the thumb.
Yep.
Okay, now remember, before the Sumerians were the Cro-Magnon, etc. Okay, so now with no language, etc., the Sumerians were one of the first, earliest civilizations. Old Mesopotamia, you know, the Fertile Crescent, where everything developed in the first cities, you know, very fertile, rich area. I'll tell you more. But let's do this part first.
Go for it.
They took their thumb and they would count between each space, 1, 2, 3 of your finger are 3 separate aspects.
Yep.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They would do that. They would take their other hand, 1. That's 12. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 2. 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 3, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 4, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 5. 60 seconds in a clock was measured and created from a count of the digits on our hand and how they were able to get 5. That's 60 seconds.
That's incredible.
Is that like
that's
how
wild.
we come up with the things that we came up with
in
our history, probably prehistory, because who knows about the fingers and how they counted.
Right.
But that became a very clever way of being able to count. See, isn't that fascinating?
Yeah, it is. That's
so the hands
really
were
something.
the original counting instruments.
Yep.
And then, because they were in Mesopotamia, and it's the Fertile Crescent, all that, you know, Tigris.
The Tigris and Euphrates rivers.
Rivers, which were the really big rivers that brought all that silt and fertile watery earth into the areas of the low-lying areas, so they were able to
everything else around them was desert.
Indeed. And they were able to create a lifestyle there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so from that mud, they created a tablet.
Yeah.
And from the reeds along the water, they created the pen and the edge. And they could make their markings into the tablets. We have the tablets.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is definitely. But that was the first tablets.
How did we make directions? How did we do anything? When we first started, we didn't have a navigator.
Nope.
Right. We had the suns and the moons and then we got communicating. We found out about time.
Yeah.
We created a concept of seconds, literally, for a minute, and 60 minutes for an hour, and 12, and the numbers and all that.
That all comes.
Sacred geometry all came way before us. We just find the documents and we find the learned passages from the people who found something from before, who made something more from it, and we make something more, and we build on what we've learned.
Yeah.
Hopefully, right?
So yeah.
We build on what we learned. But I just thought that was very interesting way of understanding our self-relationship and our direction, and how much it is related to our way we converse with our body, and how our body has been a director for our time.
Yeah. It is. I mean, that was something I did not know. So that is a definite fascinating fact.
Now, speaking of which, I didn't exactly start with on a note that had, you know, maybe for some people who haven't watched the show would understand, but we have the align and the breathe and the connect, and we're on directions. So I thought, okay, that's really interesting, because I'm mostly concerned about how we're self-directing right now, because we're in the middle of COVID season. We're not at the end of it. Unfortunately. You know, we're in the middle of it. And I'm always talking about what our immune system and the food we eat,
Yes.
and the 27 feet that's within our digestive system from the the small intestine through the large intestinal tract. And I've called it that, I'd say it's our brain. That's where our immune system actually is circulating. It runs through our entire body. And I've been doing research this week. I just was in the mood to find new data for us. And there was a polymath. His name was Francisco Valera. And he didn't live a very long time, but he had this amazing way of understanding the immune system. And he was one of the first ones, I think, who came up with this really interesting word. I'll pull it out, but it was about molecular touching. And I thought how fundamental we are in relationship to our body, and how we are in touching relationship with our body, how inside of our body there's this communication that goes on with our immune system. It's a self-sensing system. It's in relationship with itself, and it's capable of reproducing and maintaining itself. The immune system, I'm just reading from my notes, monitored and affirmed its own selfness. Okay, as it's developed, I was thinking, we probably started developing it in fetus.
Yeah.
And as embryonic, growth, we developed our system dependent upon what the structure that was forming us consumed. And so we are very much genetically related, because those which conceived us are, we become a product of their, until we change that.
Yeah.
And so with the COVID season, the immune system is a really important direction to take. Right now,
keeping it strong,
getting it strong,
yeah,
and maintaining a strong immune system.
Because that's what's going to keep you healthy. That's what your body is going to fight off any kind of infections or whatever.
Well, it knows its own typology.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the thing about it. It knows itself, the immune system, knows its good self, and
it knows when it's being invaded.
Knows its bad invader people, okay? Yeah. That's a healthy immune system.
Exactly.
Okay. So if you're immune compromised, that means your body has a little bit more difficulty making that discerning judgment. And so that's why things like cancer, where everyone has circulating cancer cells, but at some point the immune system isn't supportive enough to keep that in a balanced state, I guess you could say. Okay. Because the thing about the immune system is it has the capacity to learn, to change, and to remember in response to a change. So it exists like in our glands, the thalamus, the bone marrow, which is why we want to do bone marrow broth, bone broth in the winter. The older people knew these things,
right,
and they would incorporate these foods that help to strengthen. There are life forms in there. I know it's hard for us, but
the thing is, you've noticed there's been a resurgence of that recently.
Resurgence of what?
Of doing things like bone broth.
Oh,
you never used to, you didn't hear of that for quite some time.
You heard of it from me.
I heard of it from you, but I'm just saying.
No one wanted to really acknowledge it. I think I think the young people did it. I think they brought in awareness, but it's not a new concept.
No,
it's very old.
I'm just saying it's been brought back.
So as I said, I was talking about the immune system, and I'm talking about its relationship in terms of how it dialogues. And when we're using genetically modified foods, and we're incorporating in foods that have pesticides and herbicides and preservatives into the actual food, we ingest that. And the less of that ingesting, the healthier the immune system. The more of the processed pesticides, herbicides, and genetically modified organisms, the immune system is becoming weakened. And you've seen it generationally. I mean, because the food changed so dramatically during my generation. I mean, people thought it was so cool to be able to have TV dinners and microwave, or how cool it is to go out, except the food that you're getting when you go out isn't the same as the food that you're able to produce when you're making something from your home. You know, everything is energy. So if the food that you're eating is filled with a certain type of energy, you are ultimately going to inhabit that and become that. And so what they found was, I think it's, you know, pretty clear that the people who have a heavier weight are having more complications. And that's not an immune system specifically compromised person. They're just talking about people who have a heavier weight, particularly around their middle area. We've always heard that is hard on the heart, but just consider what's in that middle area. What's in there? What's underneath all that?
Your intestines.
What else is in there? This whole area.
That whole area. Yeah, you've got your liver and your pancreas.
What is all that stuff? Do we really need that stuff?
Oh, heck yeah.
We need it.
Yeah.
How much do we need it?
Like a lot.
Do you think our life depends on it?
Yeah, it does.
Wow.
I mean, there are a few things you could conceivably live without, but it makes
like
you
the appendix they
yeah.
take out.
Right, they can take out certain things. You can take out your gallbladder, but again, it makes life more difficult if you don't have those.
It makes life more difficult if you don't have a heart or a liver. I guess you have to be on the transplants, and there's all different reasons why that happens.
Right.
But there are things that we can self-direct and control in our lives, and one of the main things that I keep pressing home is we have the ability to control what we put in.
Mm. This is true.
Or you don't have the ability to control it.
Right.
And then that's a skill that you want to probably start to develop, is an ability to control what we put in.
Yeah.
Because what we put in is what comes out. And what we put in feeds all those things that make our life vital.
Yeah.
So when we get laxed about the food and go, oh, it's just a soda, I only have it like every other day. Oh, it's just, you know, I only go to McDonald's every once a week. Or I only do Dunkin'. All that stuff that came into our time frame came because people were pressed out to do low-wage work, super amount of hours, so they have no time at all to go to a store and get healthy food and make a nice meal and have a normal kind of way of normal, sorry about that word, I don't mean that, but a healthy relationship to oneself. And what happened was it became, oh, well, you were more cool if you had to run out to get your lunch, because that meant you were a very much more important person, because obviously. But then I started thinking about that, and I went back again to the Sumerians.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, this question that we have around how we are in relationship to the money and what we're earning and how we are in relationship to the people who are doing jobs that are really necessary, we're calling them essential workers now. I've been paid such a low wage for so long.
That's very true.
You know, and this type of concept came way back in time. Okay, so Sumeria.
Okay.
I'm back in time again.
Okay, we've jumped in the time machine again.
Because I'm going to go back and forward, and I don't want to make you dizzy. I just want to help you to expand a little bit. So, what color do you think the Sumerians were? Do you think they were my skin color?
No.
What color do you think the Sumerians were?
They were dark.
How dark do you think they were? Do you think they were yellow, brown, black, brown, black?
Brown to black.
Okay, I didn't research yet when white skin came up.
Right.
Okay, I haven't researched that. I'm going to look into it though, because I'm fascinated by this. So I go, you know, I've always said before time began, prehistoric time, people picked up stuff and took from one another. Okay. So where does that come from inside of us? This shadow side of our personality.
Yeah.
And the Sumerians, with all this stuff that they had, they built this big city, and they had all their wonderful things, and they had all their lavish ways of living, and, you know, they were very well taken care of. But what did they do? They went into the outskirts outside of their beautiful city that they built there in that Mesopotamian area, into the mountains, and they pulled the people out and enslaved them.
Oh.
And they made them work for them. This thing that we've been doing has been going on for a long time. And I don't think it's so color specific. I think the color changes throughout time.
Yeah.
But I think it's human specific.
Yeah.
And I think whatever it is that we're using to divide ourselves, whether it's money,
right.
I'm a better person because I live in a big fancy house, or I'm a better person because I have a specific religion, or I'm a better person because I'm the king.
I mean, no, you're right. And it's not color specific, because if you think about history, in China, now they're not black.
It's hate specific. It's hate specific.
But what they did is there were people that they enslaved, their own people.
The problem is that once we get out of a paradigm where one party is enslaving the other party gets the power and they turn it around, and it's just the craziest thing.
Yeah.
If there was a way that we could become aware enough, and I'm talking to the next generation, that we don't repeat that pattern.
Yeah.
That involves individual self-healing. And then on a cultural level, like that healing has to happen on a cultural level. If I recall, what was it called? I'm sure it's still somewhat in place, but it's affirmative action was put in place so that people of different various backgrounds could come together in a learned place or in a job, right? So we've been kind of trying to figure out, look, like we know we don't do things right as humans.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
How can we fix
even
it
amongst the Amerindians, the Native American Indians, there was treatment amongst the tribes, amongst every tribal group from every culture throughout civilization before time began. We've had this poor relationship with our dark side, so that we don't know how to manage when it gets shifted over into the light and then it turns. You did this to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to show you.
Mm.
I went through years of this suffering.
Mm.
And now it's my turn. See?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the dark side.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
Okay. And if you don't recognize that everybody has that inside, everybody has that. Everybody has a dark side. And having to be able to get in relationship, find the directions. And when you go there, know how to get out.
Yeah. You have to, yeah.
Don't go in there and go, I am a horrible human being, and bring yourself into a spiral.
Right.
No, you're a human being. Time to elevate. You know,
exactly.
Find a way to look at whatever it is that is within that part of the self. And I think that as we individually do that, collectively our human energy will change. But again, we have to look at the various civilizations. So in one civilization, there's an adaptation and a growth. In another civilization, they may be going down a militant path. In another civilization, they may be up in rainforest trees.
Yeah.
So it's so, I guess I'm trying to like get this directional time concept into a conversation.
Yeah, but it's, yeah, I know, but it's.
So it's not this other projected, you know, here's an example. At one of the Ivy League schools that I attended, a long time ago, a long time ago. But I remember I was in the ladies' room one day, and this woman of color came up to me, and I was working really hard. You know, I had to, didn't have a lot of financial support or anything, so had to work really, really hard because I wanted to get the grant money. And she was sassy. She came up to me and she said, you know, I don't have to work like you do. They'll give me an A, and I can give them a C job. Whereas you have to give them an A. So you see, it was
you
like
had to give them an A+ in order to get the A.
The point was that was her belief system.
Yeah.
You know, whether in fact that was actually going on was another matter entirely. But within her mindset, she had already kind of gotten to the place where here's a gift.
Yeah.
You can be here.
Yeah.
And learn.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to really have that happen because why should I? I mean, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, that's a shift.
Yeah.
That requires a shift.
Yeah. I'm sure that did happen to a certain extent. And I think it still happens.
Well, I think any time that anyone gets an opportunity,
yeah,
okay, it's how you win. It's being a gracious winner.
Right.
So we're coming up to a time where we're setting our directions in all these ways that are really tight and squeezing us through a pandemic with an election.
Oh yeah, no kidding.
It's tough.
There's a lot going on in a short period of time.
Yes, indeed. I'm going to squeeze off the camera for a minute. You talk.
You want me to talk? What would you like me to talk about? But it is true. I mean, we've been dealing with this pandemic since February. We are not anywhere near done with it. Connecticut, thankfully, has become a state that is safe to be, or relatively safe to be in, because the people have followed the rules and are taking care of each other. And our governor basically shut stuff down and is being very slow about opening things up again. But it's for our own safety. A lot of parts of the country you can't go to and come back to Connecticut unless you do a 2-week quarantine, because they're the hot spots, and there are actually more hot states than there are safe ones. We have a major election coming up in November, so I mean that's less than 2 months away.
Yeah,
and
who knows about votes and how that all is going to play out. I mean,
it's very, very important that we vote.
Okay, vote.
We need to get out there. Make your vote count. I don't believe anyone that says, "Oh, it doesn't count." Yeah,
do your vote. Do your vote. It took women a long time to get the vote.
Exactly.
It's taken people a long time to get the vote. But
if you can,
please.
Okay.
Thank you.
I was just going to say, if you can social distance, you can go to the polls.
Thank you, Joan.
Okay, thank you. I'm off my soapbox. Go for it.
Go for it. Right. I'd like to get back to the topic, which was, the directions. So as we're setting our directions into the season, being aware that it is coming up to the fall time, and we are coming into the winter season. So I really hope that we can start to put our directions into getting those strong immune systems. The kids are back. We're here. We can go ahead and make those soups or whatever you need to make, put that crock pot on. I've shown you the crock pot things. And that way it doesn't require a lot of work on your part.
Right.
But it's easy for you to
still make something that's healthy.
Joan doesn't do much of the cooking. I do the cooking. So, but, to get something that's really good. And what I have shown you before is getting that bone broth and starting to get that and put that in. So do start with the bone broth. Start to get some of that soup in you, because it is coming. Winter is coming, and we know in New England how hard it is, and it does take its toll. I saw the Farmer's Almanac said it's going to be, since we're talking weather a lot here on the channel, it's going to be one of those icy winters. So that makes it tough for us.
Yeah, it does.
Snow blowers don't work.
Yeah.
Windshield wipers freeze, and
I'm not a fan of ice.
Ice is tough. So, but that's what the almanac was saying, is that ice was coming, and this idea of counting and the Sumerians, wakening up the idea that the civilizations that came before us have helped us to be who we are, but also to be better. Yeah. So that we see the mistakes that has been made before, enough for us to say, well, we don't really need to do that. But something else takes over in humans. And whether it's the greed or, the envy or the lust or whatever, but our passions get skewed over into the side where it's not for the highest of good. It's for the, the self narcissistic, perpetuating, whatever kingdom but not considering the entire planet. And my philosophy is very clear. I feel that we're guardians of this planet, that we are responsible for it, and we've been given a beautiful place to be and to learn about ourselves first, and then to be able to learn about one another.
And we need to stop messing it up.
Well, I don't know. Tell me, Joan, how are we going to do that?
Yeah, well,
I love that.
Yeah,
Let me just hear that.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, and that's what we need to do. Whether, I mean, it's not something that we can see coming anytime soon. But I think that.
What are you talking about now?
No, just trying to be better people, be better humans.
I think we're always capable of being a better human. Every minute we have the opportunity to choose
and stop, like I said,
and be a better human. Okay, and then when we make a choice that we go, I wish I had done better, then you forgive oneself and love oneself, and keep propagating this sense of love and the fruit that comes off of the tree of love, which is goodness and kindness and patience and those types of elements that aren't part of that other tree. And self-love and self-care isn't about narcissistic self. Self-love and self-care is a way of being in communion in a dialogical relationship that produces a harvest of love and light. I wonder, did they live for 900 years once? Did we have a longer life where we were able to bring birth in at the age of 620? When did humankind's lifespan change from 900 to 75, right? So, and what role did we play in that?
Right.
And can that change so that we could have a longer, more healthy, prosperous life without all the disease? And do we have a role in how that was produced? Did we help to produce it by changing how we did crop planting, and we didn't do it biologically healthy, and we put all one crop together to make a whole field of hay or a whole field of corn, and then we sold all that, but then the land got bad. Then we had to put stuff in the land and try to make the land better, but then that didn't work. So we changed the seed, and we made the seed genetically modified, and and to think that the inner world that is here is like, oh yeah, hey, that's great. Give me some more of that stuff,
Yeah.
So balance and find ways to bring in those really healthy ingredients so that you are re-inhabiting that part of your body with some good stuff to help to balance out and at least have a healthy, longer life, and not end up in in a assisted living, memory care, where your whole body has just started falling apart, and then you're given whatever they're giving you.
Right.
It's not gonna.
You're not going to have.
It's not going to do anything different.
And you're not going to have a choice on what you have.
At that point, no, you don't have much. I'm going to check the time, everybody. I always come in close. Well, I guess I'm looking good, but I didn't put my glasses on. Hi, you see my eyes close up, huh? I love to play with you because, well, it's a whole different interactive way. And I know when I did my Facebook live streams, live chats with Dr. Cat a couple of years ago, nobody was doing that stuff, me, little crazy pioneer girl. But it was fun because it was this way to interact and not be like this stiff TV, like I'm not here or whatever, And I think in terms of learning and teaching, in any position that I'm working in, I'm definitely very interactive, and you're here with me in the room, so I can see you in a sense. I hope that you liked the show. We gave a lot of information today. I know I came at you with a lot of the Sumerian stuff.
But that was very fascinating. That was stuff I did not know at all. So thank you, because that was very informative and very interesting.
Well, even just thinking about the fingers and the mudras.
Yeah. I mean, we've always known as children even, we would count on our fingers. But that was...
The itsy bitsy spider, remember all the finger stuff?
Yeah. But to look into it and find that out is really, really something. I never would have known that.
But that was the beginning of counting, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure, yeah.
And all that time is what does form us. So now we have so much on these, which they had back then too. If you look at the Mayan culture, we worked a lot with that crystal power, crystal energy, crystal skulls, that type of work. But, oh, there was something I wanted to end with. Gosh, what was it? Oh, it's slipping my mind, and I don't like open air time, so I won't go.
Well, we got a Chihuahua here.
Yeah, no. It had
the Chihuahua high.
The time and stuff. Yes, Ruby's here. Well, we had that full moon in Pisces, and that was a tough ride. So
yeah, it was.
We're gonna, go into the fall. We've got the different things coming up. I'll share more next show, and carry on more on the themes of our body. Oh, I know what it was. It was just something I thought was so funny. Oh, I've been doing yoga for about 50 years now, and so now it's just so funny to see how everyone has to go, and they have to all get together and get on a mat out in the green, and I'm like, okay, really, if you want to do yoga, just you don't have to get the yoga pants, and you could probably pick up a DVD or find it on YouTube. But really, yoga, in all honesty, it's about the relationship with yourself, and it's kind of yoking that, and in being in balance. The asanas, which are the physical movements, are basically just one limb of Patanjali's tree. The yogic tree has so many elements to it. So this asana, which are the postures that have been changed by the patriarchal forces from the dance into these lined postures that represent the science and the system of, but it really started out quite fluid, and really it is about being in relationship so that one comes to a place of quietude so that you can actually sit in meditation. In Western culture, Carl Jung said, we would never really be able to practice it because we're more about the yoga pants and, being around other people and having everybody, are you doing it? And did you do your yoga? And I got my yoga bag. But really, if you want to practice yoga, I highly recommend it. And I would recommend really taking the time to stay in your own private space by yourself and just do a few of the little simple postures and get in touch with your body and listen to what your body is saying in quietude without someone telling you where to move your body and how to move your body, but very carefully listening to your body. And if you're having physical disability problems and you can't move very much, when I worked at some of the elder buildings, it didn't matter to me if they were in a wheelchair or if they couldn't move at all, because you can still put yourself through very minimal movements for your cellular body to hear you. And if you're putting bodily love in and being gentle with yourself, and you're not doing a comparative study, the messaging that is going to be sent in is very different. So find a nice place of quietude and do practice the yoga. I highly recommend it. I'm not a big fan of all the flash yoga stuff because I'm not sure they're practicing yoga, but they're doing something that everybody's having a good time with. So it's play, and play is healthy.
Yeah,
we talked about that.
Yes, we have talked about that.
But if you really do want to practice that yoga, I do consider it quite a solitary practice, and you can find one or two people that you can work with who can help guide you so that you're doing it safely. But really, if you're listening to your body will tell you. And I would always say to my students, if I'm telling you to do something that your body is saying it doesn't want to do, please don't do it. Listen to your body. Its wisdom is so much greater than mine. All right, I think that's an ending point for everyone. And
Okay.
I don't know, do you have anything you wanted to add in?
No, I think you covered it quite well.
You don't have anything you want to add in?
No?
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Just check. Because when I turn off the camera, she's, oh, I wanted to say.
No, we're good. We're good. We're good.
Okay, so that's that. I'll see you next week. It was good to be here with you. Thank you again, Nutmeg TV. As always, you're the greatest. Thank you, Joni Sutter. Thank you, Chris Bennett. Thanks, Don Seaton. I gather you might be in there helping, and Eric, I know you're around too. And Brian, sending you blessings. All right.
Great crew. Great crew.
We love you. Take care, everybody. And, you know, couldn't do the show without you. Check us out on the YouTube video on demand and check out other shows that Nutmeg TV offers. I always appreciate every time you come in. Send a like, send a comment, try a share. See you later. Bye.
Bye.